Hey everybody, it's King here. Welcome to another form of tier list video. As you see by the title and obviously on the screen, this is going to be me, like in the case of other videos that's going to be coming out and I have done, remaking one of my most iconic and or beloved tier lists of the past. I got a guest joining me with this, and possibly depending on when this gets released, I have another video where I was in collaboration of having guests, aka another form of discussion video involving the case of a tier list subject matter. And today, I have my boy, who we'll just call V/Val. You can go and say what's up.
Oh.
Yeah, that's him, the introvert. Joke side though, as you guys see, I'm making one of my most iconic tier lists in the case of me being, a big buff about power scaling and fiction, and the game, the verse, and the lore being Overwatch. And this is going to be the entire Overwatch universe power scaled, you know what I'm saying? Or, in this case, being possibly ranking the Overwatch universe from weakest to strongest, right? And this is just going to be taking in not just all validity of the capabilities from techniques, styles, capabilities, and tech, versatility of all different sorts, their power scaling, on a 1v1, even scenario, and unless it is of higher, greater A tiers, of a higher regard and more put just from a tiering system, then it's that. And this is also just obviously ranking the most, hailed in-game characters and whatever's to be had. If of course you disagree with any of our takes or anything of that sort, as me and Val will probably agree disagree on some different placements. Of course, you guys already know with me, my Discord is always open, RP King 3124, or you can hit people on Xbox, King 21851. Regardless though, let's go and get into it. So let's start from the top. We're gonna start with Ashe. So I already told him of the tiers with this being said. And unlike with my other tier lists, we're actually going to be going through with it from start to finish and not having it preset like I usually do, because that's how he likes to go and do it. So, yeah, so where do you feel like Ashe should be, my good friend?
Are we including her with Bob?
No, Bob is going to be separate. Possibly because, no, I didn't see that either, kind of. Because of the fact that he's big tie with her, actually, nah, Jim, on. We're going to consider her with Bob.
I say town level.
Town level is a crazy statement. Why so?
Just the amount of mayhem they could cause together, I feel like.
I mean, that's a destructive capacity thing, and I don't have a tier representing that, but the best I could give Ashe with that statement.
Maybe not town. Maybe like street.
I mean, that's why I put her in the case for wall/street tier. So I think that's better sense of placement. I think that's very reasonable for right now. Next is Bastion. How do you feel about Bastion?
Town level.
Why exactly so? That's such a wild statement, no offense.
They turn into a tank. Can just turn into like a turret too.
Turret tank, technically. But even then, turning into a tank/turret of that record, destructive bomba clock, mamba,
Yeah,
don't really.
Capacity.
I mean, yeah, but assertive capacity and AP is two different things. Tyler as well. With, yeah, him having a great deal of, twisted metal caliber is a great thing. But a tank doesn't actually exert that on a consistent greater sense of yield. Town level is a way higher boast of measurement and power. And that's something that, like, you would need to be able to dish out a whole wide-scale, ridiculous radiance, robust power pool. Is that like a Homelander, Center Armstrong crushing Excelsis, or even pours, a great deal of radiant of power that someone like, I don't know, what was his name? I forgot his name from the Infamous series can do. It's a great build-up array of dish out energy and or destructive yield that he doesn't do on a common basis. And no Bastion has ever been considered to do that. Even if you want to mark Bastion as the strongest, to me, I think Bastion reasonably should be wall/street tier. I think that's a fair placement for him. And over Ashe, yeah, I think that's reasonable. Next, let's start with McCree.
Street tier.
Yeah, well, that's reasonable. Obviously, can best Ashe. and Bob and the whole gang. Granted, with the context and scenario taken out, I still think because of his greater skill, marksmanship, ingenuity, experience, and being decently well-rounded fighter in his own right should reasonably be there. But I could see an argument that Ash and Bob could full jump this man. But depending on the scenario, I would like to say he would win.
I mean, he won against them.
Well, yeah, but he won because of the mixed bag context. Again, it's just Ash and Bob jumping him. Because remember, in the short slash, obviously in the lore, McCree bested all of them with mixed scenario, hitting at points of them and or a area, that wouldn't be, consistent since a thing. And like to greater, concretely explain this and, best precisely, explain as a man is prone to be doing, what prone precisely going to touch any science and do it. But joke aside though, it's like when it comes down to McCree besting them, he reasonably did. But again, he bested them because it makes it a scenario and area, having better cover, better grounds of movement and capabilities to get around, which we would give every character in this. But he had a lot more space than what we would say is a equal thing. He shot different parts of the area and things that is not concretely a reasonable assertion that he would do if he didn't know them already. And again, hypothetically, it's just Ash and Bob double teaming a person. And unlike Bastion, where I think he could blow them away out of proportion, is way more reasonably durable than, especially considering all the upgrades Torbjorn gave them, in comparison with them, being Bastion, being a kind of it, but I'll just call Bastion a he, just for, namesake. When he gave him, reason we should get him there. McCree, in comparison, there's arguments to say that they would full double team flatline him. Wait, what?
How bad do you think it would get?
Like, I think it would get so bad that
McCree's arm.
Well, I don't know if they would actually take away McCree's arm. I think it would get so bad that McCree could get tired or get very much, overwhelmed. But I think that if McCree really need to take it far and we say that McCree would go out of his character, he would actually have to kill Ash or severely hurt Bob.
Cassie now?
I mean, yeah, that's technically his real name, but, like, it doesn't matter. I mean, it's still, like, kind of his name, and that's his code name. Cassidy is his real name, and Jesse McCree is technically a slogan name because that was his last name. He doesn't like Cassidy, like in lore. Like, that was the original reason, but, again, Cassidy, McCree, Jesse, whatever. All I'm saying is I think that our boy Jesse would go through a lot to get the job done, but I see him getting it. But it's a contingent fight, argue about who you think wins. But let's just move on. Next we have Echo.
He has the capacity to be on the highest of the list because you can replicate.
If we use gameplay and take into consideration of other case effects, it's a very mixed 50-50 pool shit, as she can blitz around ridiculously fast. She's very fast, is kind of be able to, be faster than most different aerial combatants. Is very crazy with her moves, got a lot of versatility, got a lot of hacks, got a lot of technical advancements, and is literally the vision of the verse, a technological ultimate life form. And if we talk about her case of, duplicate slash replication copy move, it lasts for, 6 seconds in game. So most people she would best. I think metahuman to Omega Threat is a good tier. But I'll put her in metahuman for now. Next we have Genji Shimada.
He's, maybe on level.
Town level is crazy, but can you explain to the audience why you think these characters are town level? Like, no offense, because I'm so confused by that.
He has the capacity to do that.
Like by AP or do you mean destructive? Because those are two different things.
AP of him?
I didn't even hear what you said. What, say that again for the audience?
AP.
Okay, but why though? Like, where do you get that logic? Because me, I do not scale any of the people that we're talking about right now that high.
Let's call it a feeling.
Okay. I mean, I don't really get that, but alright. I mean, to me, I feel like
you would see he's street level.
I mean, I could see that. I could see Genji perfecting his Bastion pretty easily, and it depends on who we put. I think Kim and Echo would have a contingent fight. Genji, to me, scales roughly strongly in the small building plus, and you could partially half last wing. I feel like to mix take of, maybe to building level on a bare minimum from him chopping off.
Maybe I should start using building levels more, because, like, I keep saying town. Well, I don't know why, but I feel like destroying a building is more impressive than destroying a small town.
Okay, well, no offense, you got the entire calculation
I don't
going.
know why.
As y'all possibly can tell.
My bad.
No, yeah, I get you. But as you guys can tell, my brother here, Val, is not a big power scaler. He's a intrigued person about it and has great interest in it. Don't bully my man. Don't Charles Manson, my man. But like simply put, I just don't agree with that sentiment. Not what he just said, because he obviously acknowledged it, but just that possibility. I don't agree with him chopping off the big no sector sentinel arm that entirely gives that weight, because that's more concrete within the small building tier. He has the dragon. Echo can obviously copy that. They could have very contested fights. I would argue that Genji, because of his skill and his tech, could outdo her, but Echo was said to be like the MVP impossible potential for Overwatch. She was made to be Overwatch's like ultimate, beast. Like she was made and programmed in all aspect of her technology, the cream of the crop escapade of a deliberate whole super weapon. Like Shuddy is the premium standard for how to be so much of a complex destroyer and or support in the different form of combat. She got the technique of this man. If she copies him, she got all his accolades and possibly capabilities, feats, and tail. I don't want to just say that every person that she tries to copy, she instantly knows how to use to the most efficient regard. But taking the fact that she does have accounts of having a photographic, memory, she has technological, advancements of crazy regard. She's very intelligent. She's an advanced species of omnic-like capabilities, if you want to say that she's basically a higher evolved stage to that capability. And Echo is pretty cracked in the grand scope of capabilities. But I would say that Genji and her would have a very contingent fight. And I think in the end, in the grand matter of, potential, I see Genji beating her, most of the time. Do you agree with that sentiment, Val? What's your take on that? Who wins, Genji or Echo?
Say Genji. I don't know. Can Echo perfectly replicate the skills he has?
We don't know. Gameplay suggests that by obviously picking a person that how to. So that's why I feel like even if she would pull out that mirror match shit, Genji could outlast her and defeat her. And Genji is very expensive. Genji is a great sage, bro. He built different. But still, Hanzo, great Shimada himself. How you feel about Hanzo? Older brother Genji took him out.
Small building.
To me, I think he can beat Ash and Bob with his superior, not just range, skill, assets, the dragons, technique. I think him and McCree will be very contingent, unironically. But I think Hanzo has a lot more, advantages and capabilities to outmaneuver him, even with McCree's, flashbang, sticky grenade, very cracked in the case of his movement, got a bunch of ways to soar around the battlefield in the most sly, efficient ways, like Black Arrow from DC, very kinetic. What I think Bastion might be a little bit too heavily durable, and I could see Bastion be able to literally blow his ass to bits before he could presumably, eviscerate him with the dragons. But I don't really know.
Tanks him.
Wait, what?
He's in the middle of his ult, and Bastion just uses his tank rounds.
Or he just drills him in. Like, I don't know. I think there's a great capability for it to be a 50-50 like before, but I like to say Bastion is over him. It's like a 50-50 of who uses who's, better stuff. Junkrat, where we putting him? Fodder for me.
Say what?
That's that fodder for me with Junkrat. I mean, I don't know if you heard me. I said Junkrat. Where we putting Junkrat?
Junkrat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fodder, so his gatekeeper man has no true significant scaling. Is a joke. We've seen as a joke. A little weasel. pretty much it. Don't really have much more
And
to
they could
say.
give him more scaling.
Yeah. Next we have May.
She's just a regular person without the ice skin, right?
Yeah, there's potential for her to do everything she does in game. If we take the gameplay to the most serious regard, I think she potentially can be a very terrifying nightmare and be reckoned of Mr. Freeze, like defense and array of great assault, you know, potential and
I'll say street.
precaution. Wait, what?
I'll say street.
Yeah, like I think if we take that to the fullest regard, like I said, she could be higher plane of like precautionary, you know, destructively, adverseful. She's very resilient. What she can do. Realistically, her temperatures would annihilate most conventional people in a fighting sense. And she has great capabilities, to really bring out the Blizzard Storm. And she was able to freeze something of ridiculous regard when she used the full power of her stuff. But again, if we go by actual lore, there's a lot of contingencies to that. May is not a fighter. She's a support character. And is not full glorified best caliber fighter in all extremes. And I think just from a actual going all out trying to kill and best in the danger zone, aspect of this stuff, I would say that May would be more reluctant to fight, be more defensive, and be very passive. And these people were better acclimated to maybe being able to be the most elite form killers and fighters in their own mixed record, would outshoot her, outdo her. I think Bastion would realistically body everything that she has to offer. My man would start desecrating her defense and just open her up like Ironhide from Transformers so that we get binged down. And I think that she could beat Junkrat because of their personalities, but I could see her being, no offensive, fodder / gatekeeper. I mean, she arguably doesn't have scaling, but I'll just put her over Junkrat out of sympathy, but I don't actually think that she could be in wall size 3 tier because she doesn't really have anything of that validity unless you highball her shit, which I think is entirely unfathomable wank. I don't think she really has any validity to beat that up. Next we have Farah.
Small building level. What building level?
I mean, I think from what she's demonstrated in the comics, her counting accolades, the fact that she has great range in the air and she can pull a lot of crazy stuff, and has beat different acclaimed Omnics, I think it's reasonable to put her at the top of wall / street tier. She got the fight, she got the tech, she got the hack, she got the skill.
I felt like the Rockets would do a lot more.
Well, Rockets usually depend on the case of, the type and variety of them and magnitude that is coming all of them in like a whole volley to be had, and just generally should be on the cusp, just a great stand of wall level, pulling some great Giga Jills, caliber, and then you have the count with her multi-role and of, different like potential techniques and form of fighting. She's experienced, she's defeated Omnic like beings and fought to a great decent regard. Is top of her class, she's a very different stuff. Overwatch puts her in, decent hail, and Ana says that, she's better than her in some aspects when it comes down from a Phil combatant standard, and her just reign of Rocket's whole Iron Man style, you know what I'm saying? Ana clipped that timing. It will be
That's
a glove.
Destroy a building though, right?
I mean, most likely in a full whole, like direct blister of it. Like I would say that it depends on the building. It's like we're talking about like a greater destructive rain, and then obviously the AP. I think generally on a record for her blowing that out, that entire record of maneuver would entirely demolish an entire structure of defense for anyone and open up everybody, and just hitting a building with people or a person would be an entire firework array of devastation. That would be a claim of like catapult level magnitude of destruction at a low end, and at a greater form would be a ridiculous velocity and of a multi-record of the destruction, to say the least. So just to simply base it down with this, not just on big dramatic talk, when she fights Bastion and he's plopping out all these different shots at her and trying to continuously pinpoint her shit. If she gets a good setup on him, don't get it twisted. If Bastion did direct shoot Farah, I think he would, splatoon her shit. I'm not gonna lie. But if she gets a great setup, she would entirely evaporate and wreck this man apart in multi-record ways. I mean, it would be a multi-kamikaze effect from that alone. So, yeah. Next, we have Reaper.
Give me a
What?
house level.
House level is insane. Nah, I can't control it, bro. Nah, I think Reaper, because of his hack skill accolades, I think you could get like about Echo and Genji's level. The only problem is like
I think that they play more into his dark abilities. He could be stronger.
Yeah, if you went whole like hypothetical smoke, where there's smoke, there's fire level credit. I feel like
He could like supplicate people by using dark essence or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if he doesn't really full Wraith cloth people like that. If you really move like cloaking potential, there'd be a great heavy way to possibly outdo people. But I feel like he's up near this level, but he doesn't have the same accolades in or hail like Echo. And I feel like a lot of what he can do, Echo would generally be able to counter. And Reaper has been put out of commission before. I feel like Reaper would have to really lay the pressure to Echo, but Echo could out counter. And Echo has teamed up with Reaper before from the account of when she was, actually launched into Overwatch. So I feel like she would be able to spark a lot of ideas to how to beat him. And I do think that Genji would outdo Reaper. There is an argument that because Reaper is semi-immortal and the fact that Genji and Echo don't have really ways to really crack down on him, they would outdo him most of the time and would inevitably knock him out or put him down for good.
I think Reaper would catch May laughing though.
Well, not surprising there because she put a low on these fodder/slashing gatekeeper. I mean, Reaper is the Grim Reaper of this game. My man is a whole.
I think he would definitely catch Ash and Bob though.
So, with this being said, Reaper is full a ruthless mean vato and is a literal whole entire closet of guns. Can pull out a crazy record of shit. Can teleport, morph phase, can turn intangible, turn invisible, blend in. Is a very tactical, great A genius, and is a glorified crack like individual that can be dominating people in multi-affinity. But he arguably does have a bad record of losing, and his ego and mind. There's a mixed argument that his arguable personality is shit so much it is kind of like a defect.
Like a character that should be stronger. Kind of isn't.
I mean, that's more like a potential thing because we're gonna get all into that when we get to Sigma, who I know is gonna be a divisive pick. And y'all who follow this channel for a minute know how I feel about him as a character, but we'll get to him in a minute. Next, we have his Sojourn. Wait, what?
Before we go to Sojourn, I feel like if they tapped more into his dark abilities, I think it could be higher.
Actually, yeah, so that.
Yeah.
Alright, so how you feel about Sojourn?
Small building level, I guess. That railgun's kind of crazy.
Okay, stop. Really, that is, bad man stats. I think. Go up.
Should lose a battle with Reaper. For some reason, I don't know why.
To me, Sojourn has reasonable claim and expertise to be better than Soldier. Not as a leader, but as a marksman, shooter, and just built different, frontier fighter. She has a lot of
more versatility than him.
Indeed, she has a better tech, mixed accolades of, experience in these different forms. She showcased what she can do in her shorts and different accounts. She's very crazy with her shit. She has a lot of, cyber enhancements and capabilities to get around that. Now machines to go ahead and, build upon her destructive capacity and vintage, shooting range activity where Shawty literally is a super speedster, rocket blitzing, high caliber rifle that moves at supersonic speeds of the highest regard, right? Where we're not even talking about this Demi on the supersonic. Shawty got blitzing fast aim, and I do think would demolish people in a full shootout and any other credit of speed and the count of, versatility and hacks. The only reason why she's not going so much above, at least now, is the fact that everyone else had better advantages, faster, can deflect better. Sojourner is not showing that much greater take of feats, and it's just not really on that higher stand. But yeah, I think, she's a solid creative person there when it comes to that. Then we have Soldier 76 as an old man, which makes argument not prime. But he has the same accolades and stuff. He has, great experience, great, skill, great affinity. Who's more peaked than him? Your mic's kind of frizzing, dog.
Hello?
No, I can't hear you, but I'm saying your mic's kind of staticky.
Here, let me fix it.
I'll let him get his full thing out, chat. But with this being said, the full greater talk about the affinity of this. I don't know my stream, but just really feel like I stream most of the time when I'm doing these recordings. Affinity of not just pulling very elite level shooting form prowess. I mean, he defined Soldier to a T. A little bit, dude got a little bit of that sound still, but I don't know if that's because of the Xbox app thing, but might be fine from this.
You say his younger self is probably better than him. His current age.
Yeah. But again, with his tech experience, skill, prowess, and scaling to small, explosions.
Super Soldier Serum, right?
Yeah, he has a Super Soldier Serum. We don't really know what that.
Cap.
I mean, I wouldn't say it's on comic book cap because we don't really know what that really defines as. Because you have to understand that these people all have different claim of being superhumans and built different. But the Super Soldier program, in the case for Overwatch, doesn't really specify and truly proclaim to be the most unheard of accolade of human potential at this. Because, for instance, Doomfist, even though there's a lot of big context into him becoming that, insatiable, big Brock, demon boulder of a man that he is, was already on the affinity of actually being a colossally built different animal as a human, even without that. So again, there's nothing really produced to actually really, I feel like, concretely say him being a super soldier would do more. He is faster than most of these people, has a hierarchical creative intellect, is strategic genius, has a great case of, versatility. He has aimbot. He got rockets. He got medical supply. He could do a lot of things that can make him strongly more solid than others. Again, I think because of his age, he kind of might down from his greater Hale maybe doing some more. But even though he got severely, injured and scarred from it and was presumed dead, the fact that he did survive whatever the explosion was at Overwatch, which I feel like it might be a stretch to say he survived that magnitude of the explosion. It seemed like they destroyed an entire base. I'm talking city block level affinity of explosion. I think that's enough presumable case of around where he could decently-ish be, right? And don't get it twisted, the wall/street level tier doesn't dispose of, the capability and claim of characters being near these levels. I just feel like this is a strong just consume of, understanding and the knowledge and capabilities of the characters comparatively pit to pit without really trying to break it down off level to level, because that's when we get into different hijinks and shit, and I'm not really trying to do that. I'm just hoping this inverse power scaling can really define that. Regardless, though, next we have Sombra, who's a very mixed person. How you feel about her, Val? Val?
Say that again. Sorry.
Sam, Sombra, how you feel about Sombra?
Her hacking ability is kind of crazy.
Yeah.
Or that skills?
I mean, as a hack in itself, and just talking about hacks in the greater run of the shit that she can do, I think it's kind of mixed because we never really see her do that in actual greater form.
Does she act like Kiriko? Or using her fox?
Well, no, because that's not technology. But from all we know, because I was going to go a little bit more in depth with it, was we never see her actually use it on greater regard of people besides fodder one-off machines, robots, omnics. So hypothetically, her tech is only exclusive to a specific matter of organic or unorganic tech. I don't think realistically she can hack people that don't have that. But I do think there's an argument if you have any matter of technology with you, and unless you are faster, way to marchly stronger, or even though I don't want to use headcanon, might presumably in lore have a counter to her hacks, she could best a lot of people. I'm kind of mixed on where I want to scale her. But I think if we use gameplay, there is a timer to it. And she has been shown to be beaten by Zarya in the comic. She did get pieced up by Zarya. She did lose to Zarya. But I think there's a mixed argument. She's not as that, much of a specialist hacker fighter as she is. More of a trickster, more of a planner, strategic, maneuverer, So I think a solid tier. See, because the three people above her have better versatility to be had with Reaper, Echo, and Genji. I think I'll just put her under Reaper for now. Right? And then I guess we could just ask if she could best this in this person. But there's also even the fact that I feel like there's some technology that would be too, booming wildly powerful for her to actually try to hack, right? And adjust to. Especially because I feel like she actually has been proven wrong about being able to hack anything and lore. So, yeah, I don't know. It is what it is. She's not even advanced enough with hacking that she can hack Ramantra's systems. And I'm not saying Ramantra is dumb or no sector don't got good security, but these are the same people that have been dismantled by people and or others and arguably got literally out basically to the fullest degree, shredded and got bulldozed through by Malga, who's not entirely a fucking numbskull. He's not, smooth brain as he might act. But that man is not the sharpest tool in the shed. He's more of a sledgehammer in the shed, to say the least. So, yeah. But anyway, next character, we have Symmetra, who I think is pretty crazy in potential. I don't know about you, Val. Val, you there? Well, I feel like my house is
talking to somebody.
Okay, you good? I was gonna say, I feel like my house is literally out here reading the text from his girl, or my man's about to be out here playing Overwatch himself. He's getting too invested. Pretty excited though. But how do you feel about Symmetra?
I mean, streets, I guess.
Cause here's the thing. She has the account of having immeasurable potential to create stuff. Her technology is entirely built off her creativity and uniqueness. And there's accounts of her being very crazy with it. And this is mainly built off of, a bunch of context and, greater works and creation of, technology built off upon things, brick by brick, setting the record straight for shit. But the fact that she can create a wall of that size in game, she can pull a lot of crazy versatility of hacks and different meta, different shit. I think she can be up here and basically having defense for defense against everybody else. And unless you are faster or have a lot more potential versatility to outdo or you can copy her, I don't really think that you can beat her. Like Sombra, I think Symmetra will push past that. She's been able to counter hacking in lore. And Vishkar's had hacks before by Sombra, and Symmetra has evolved her technology. I think her and Reaper is just a rock, paper, scissors match, and I just think that Symmetra will always just keep putting them down, and Reaper cannot really touch her. So, it is what it is. I don't know if I should make a new tier as I speak, but there's some fights where you could arguably say it's eligible for a draw. Because I don't know how Symmetra's going to beat Reaper, and I don't see how Reaper's beating Symmetra. I just think Symmetra will actually harm him, and he won't. So, yeah, that's just me. I don't really see a reason why, it'd be any different in comparison. But, yeah, I'm hoping that you guys, we're still here because I don't want my co-host to be out here. A lot of guys can doubling. Val going to be out here dazzling the wind like Raiden, picking butterflies out of the air. Anyway, besides that, we have Torbjorn Lindholm. How you feel about him? You think there's an argument that Sombra could get through him. I'll say, because Torbjorn did give Bastion some upgrades. You go.
She like turns his turns against him. Can you do that? Can she do that?
I mean, they were talking about being that much of a high class hacky engineer, but I definitely think that he could out like fortress assault Bastion, pluck out a turret or turrets upon turrets, put together different, ways of creating offense and defense, pull up on them, go through black, you know what I'm saying, timing, and I think proficiently outmaneuver, depending on the creator of the context, but I think it's kind of built upon a mixed variety of like, okay, so let's just break it down. All right, he could easily, bliss, upon the battlefield. He's very fast. He got the tech, to manage, salvage the scenario. He can build different, things besides a turret to help him. He has decent critter technology. His molten core or his fast molten, desert stomper, you know what I'm saying, is very creative and can very much flatline. I think he's easily going to pop Junkrat, easily going, decimate May in full, you know what I'm saying, going to declare her an icicle forever with the matter of fear that Torbjorn's going to plunge out, and then could plunge a whole new level of, basically domination is like a big factor with what I'm saying. And then when we go about talking about what he's going to do comparatively to these people, again, I think when he faces Ashe and beyond, that he's going to full plunge domination into everybody's face and going to crowd control, and is going to full rail home a whole new case of, glorified overlapping pressure, to where this man Bob is going to get overwhelmed and get most likely pieced up. He's going to be able to find Ashe and really track speed, dominate. McCree cannot handle all that stuff. Hanzo, unless he pops up the dragons like immediately, which is not in character. I believe that Torbjorn will outmaneuver and really crack out, the greater hypersensitive, things, you know what I'm saying, to really dominate, and the deceptive things that he needs to go and do will be efficient enough to, I feel like, out-pow and do things like that. But Bastion is the only problem where he's just too hyperly durable. His turret and tank form got way more destructive capabilities, and I just feel like Torbjorn, when he fought Bastion, he wasn't trying to actually fight him, and Bastion didn't really know what's going on. But Bastion, if he was going full kill quick seize and was actually trying to murderize Torbjorn, could not pull greater matters, movement and efficient stand and killing this man Bastion to actually get the dub. But I could see arguments for, again, him having a better cracked out, artillery that could make him, be a walking armada. But still. Next we have Tracer, the British time traveling speedster herself. How we feel about Tracer, Vote?
Possibly a little bit big. I don't know about that.
To me, Shorty is the most annoying and most kind of wild shenanigans, Shorty. She's faster than everybody else. She got easily better accolades of speed. She's sparred with Genji and has more severely outshined him. She's able to scale to multiple different forms of speed on different accounts of things. She's been able to outmaneuver Doomfist and tag him, even though he doesn't get affected by her blast. She's been able to maneuver around different gunfire, speed blitz, Widowmaker, been able to warp out of the speed of a bullet. Got, capabilities to distort time from her perspective to another. Can warp around different matters of movement. Can blitz faster than the speed of most people when it's a very wicked, cracked form of, speed and tech. I mean, she's very, again, fast, obviously. But the fact that she's very, dualistic with the guns. She has infinite presumable ammo. She has a sticky bomb. And is very creatively dispatching of, people. And is, pretty much untouchable unless you're the higher caliber people. And, yeah, Shawty's built different. And I don't see anyone touching her anytime soon. And, yeah, pretty much it. Next we have, unironically, Widowmaker. Where we putting Widowmaker?
Street.
Think
I feel.
she would beat, obviously, Junkrat and May pretty effortlessly, would out maneuver and clock so efficiently, and suffice to say, deadly of different timing, that she would dispatch Bob back to the junkyard and easily clock Ash into next week. Would be able to have a very interesting sense of shoot off with McCree, but her level of accolade and proficient shot and caliber and other aspects of that, martial arts skill, tactitional skill, is a veteran of killing, was said to be the greatest shooter, sniper, and agent of talent in all different regards. She is an excellent master at her craft. I think she would just outdo McCree in the grandstand. As well, McCree, I don't think, would ever really get a strong shot at her. And Hanzo, again, the Dragons mix-up thing, I just feel like Shawty will be able to outclass him in the greatest sense of regard. I also think that because she has a assault rifle and a sniper rifle, that she'll be on more close cutter, better record of movement and making space, especially because Shawty is literally the dead shot of the verse. I mean, Shawty is arguably the greatest shot in this game. Shawty is dummy built different, and as a woman, Shawty got the whole bakery back there, but we're not going to talk about that. Anyway, besides all that, next we have forgot they's name, the freaking transgender Overwatch character. Not trying to be disrespectful, I just forgot their name. With the drill, I've looked up lore about this character. What?
I think non-binary.
Yeah, non-binary, but I mean, isn't that still mixed kind of transgender, or like not really identifying as that? Okay, well, I'm just.
I don't think they identify with anything.
Okay. Well, and I'm just ignorant in that case. Well, even then, I'm just going to call them Grinder because of their weapon as being a big-ass drill. I don't really have any strong case of, knowledge about their lore, even with peeking into their wiki a long time ago, trying to really estimate their encounter, claim of scaling. I know they can burrow for the ground like a mole rat, move with earthbending technical capabilities, and it's cool like that.
Still Chomper's abilities.
But I don't really know what she can do, so again, I'm going to put in question marks as no scaling, and I'm sorry for saying she, I meant they, but y'all get on the proclaim of what I'm trying to say. I don't mean to be respectful, but technically he/she, whatever, half-turtle demigod, I'm just saying for the record, but again, no disrespect, I'm just used to saying that, but yeah. Next, we have Diva. Female Iron Man, how we feel about her?
Say Iron Man?
I said female Iron Man, how we feel about her?
More like female Hulkbuster.
I mean, it's still Iron Man.
I know. But whatever.
Transformers roll out. Peace out.
Small building. Or building.
Think she bests a lot of people. She has very heavy durability. She's been able to defeat Kenshin Omnics by herself. Granted, she had to self-destruct to do that. And depending on the person that she does that against, that can be a death sentence for her. And to her credit, her team did get put on basically 1 HP on all record, fighting the Kenshin Omnic at a full, like city destructive force. You know what I'm saying? When they fought the Kenshin Omnic at a Pacific Rim level magnitude of height and power. But I would like to say that she could pull a lot of non-stop, crazy form of versatility, crazy experience, is very adaptive, very efficient, she's very smart, and very cool with it. So I like to say that she could outdo enough. I think her and Symmetra will really just be who really, the most, you know what I'm saying? Because, like, basically what I mean, because it might sound a little bit, like, weird when I say that. I basically mean her and Symmetra have a contingent fight of really who really unloads the greatest mag at each other, like who really wrecks the most, you know what I'm saying? Like who really wrecked, to the greatest record. They're really radically built different in caliber of boxing. Diva is going to be going full force, trying to open her up, trying to seize opportunities. Symmetra's going to be playing defense, moving like, a technological airbender, and is going to try to really just play off of that until she could properly assess her weaknesses. But I think if Diva really did send self-destruction home, that's the only way that she could beat her. But I do think there's an argument, depending on when and how she does that, Symmetra will use her shield and she'll just beat her. Because, she can't survive the lasers. And, I don't know. I think there's a reasonable sense of matter for, statement that Symmetra, with the laser in mind, might be too fast and might eat away at her armor. I think I'm going to give it to Symmetra most of the time. But, again, I understand if you disagree. Next, we have Doomfist, the main man, conflicting war incarnate. Those who fall will be forgotten, but those who rise up, their names will be remembered forever. But this is Overwatch 2 variant, so keep that in mind, as I do think from all different lore accounts, Doomfist has, like other characters on this tier list, because we're not done anytime soon, have multiple versions of themselves that we have to take into consideration. Again, trying to rank the entire Overwatch universe from weakest to strongest. But where we putting Doomfist, Valid?
You said he's like large building level?
Yeah, at a grandstand. I feel like for now, at least just Overwatch 2's version, that he can reasonably be in the proclaim of being Apex powerhouse. There's a lot of things to take into consideration. Okay, let's say, this is his strongest version, right? Doomfist has not only trained, he's reevaluated his shit, he's adapted. He's grown stronger since those fights that he had in Overwatch 1. He's grown stronger mentally. He grows stronger every fight, he says. He has a lot of adaptive capabilities. He's very smart, an expert, mixed max, of about 3 to 4 martial arts, a decent credited martial artist, you know what I'm saying? His mixed martial arts prowess is very helpful with salvo, wrestling, kickboxing, kujokai. He's a very solid matter of fighter. He's very strong. He has great perception. He knocked out Winston with one punch. He was able to take out Tracer. He put Genji on life support. He's the strongest member of Talent, I would argue. Got great capabilities. He was said to be able to possibly level a skyscraper. The Doomfist Gauntlet is one, if not in potential, the strongest weapon in the verse. And Doomfist himself, Akanda Okundimu, is one pillar of power. So there you go. Hope I explained simply why Doomfist here. Now, this can change, but I think it's fine for what we're trying to estimate this off of. Okay? But still, next we have Junker Queen. How you feel about Junker Queen, Val?
Straight.
Her magnetism and her skill and her prospect, because she did have like a spar with Hammond.
Oh, yeah, there's that. She could have tried smoking him at that.
Yeah, I think if she ever gets like goodly hit, because her magnetism, we haven't really seen what it can do in a greater deal, but just saying that she can magnetically dominate almost every form of metal in person, a lot of people's weaponry is kind of going to be obsolete. I think Reaper can have too much for her to take, but I think she'll beat. Sombra objectively can't hack her. Diva, she's fought mech people before, and she did spar with Hammond, right? And it was like a draw. So I don't know. Granted, they're friends, so maybe they weren't fighting as like much, and I know that their spar wasn't as like serious combat training as Tracer and Genji. But I think everyone else is either too fast or got too much in their disposal, and if she does magtate them, I think they have enough versatility to outdo. So I think, like, if you would say that she can beat Diva, because I don't really see how she's beating Symmetra. I really don't. The technology is too vast and too evolved beyond compare. That's the most high-tech, crazy, advanced technology, and Junker Queen would basically be like a Neanderthal fighting a Roman centurion at that point. They would not have any way to compete. So, yeah, like, Junker Queen, she's smart, fast, beautiful, yacht, tall woman, you know what I'm saying? But it wouldn't change the fact that these people are just too durable or have too much at her
It's a long
disposal.
wrestling match.
What?
She'd probably beat everyone under.
Wait, say that again for us? I don't know if I even
If it
heard
was
the
a wrestling match, she'd probably beat everyone except for Zarya.
Well, I don't really agree with that for the reasons I say. Can you elaborate on that?
Okay, what I mean by that is that, like, she'll beat everyone except for, like, Zarya and Doom.
But like, why so though? Next up.
I don't know. It's a guess. This is stupid. This is continuing.
I mean, again, I think she got a lot of ways to outdo people, but I think that she could never fully harm, Diva enough to really make a true greater A difference. So that's why me personally, I don't see it as much as a possibility as another. But that's just me. Anyway, moving on, we have Malga. Big Samoa. How you feel about big boy Malga here?
I forgot about Malga. You could probably destroy a small building with those guns, right?
And potential, we consider mixing like the big sundowner blazing all try. I'm fucking invincible. Riot shield, big body, Tachenga, fucking overloading guns and ballistic cruising motherfucker. I mean, this man built like a semi truck. I would like to say because he competed with Sombra and Reaper, defeated multiple Vermantras, guards, and different no sector people, and he's very durable. He's very powerful. That it would really take a man or woman of high skill prowess. I think him and Bastion would have an interesting convo and or fight. And it would be very interesting to say the least, but I do not know. It's a very mixed regard thing. So yeah, I don't know. I don't know how it is with this dude to really say. I think there's a lot of credit of, him being confined to being way more OD powerful, but not really having the mental or capabilities of what Bastion could do in all around, in grand scope utility to best him. But I think him and Bastion are continue to fight. Everyone else either got better mixed bag of, artillery, versatility, experience, capability, that I think they would wear him down, and everybody else, I think it's pretty obvious that they just be too much for him. But I kind of feel conflicted putting him this low. But I just think we haven't seen enough of Malga. Yeah, I think we need just a little bit more of Malga. I think what I might do is I might make a different mix of it here. Because, it wouldn't change it. He's still going to be low. But I just think Malga has not shown objectively enough. Bob T said that he's very strong. He was the best out of his entire case, class. He was a high-ranked dude. And he is a very powerful motherfucker. But I just think Malga never really showed actual extension above the general credit of, pros of, Wait, what?
Maybe, like, possibly building level or something.
I mean, he could, because, again, we don't know. Because, to me, what he's actually demonstrated is none of that higher grade A caliber. To me, it's just wall-level, general extent shit. Again, he never really showed anything that full goes to the poor. So, actually beyond his same, peak level of brute, of the most highest, form of, behemoth stand. He's not doing things of, like, the crack fiend, behemoth, overzealous, uncanny, unorthodox, cracking out, all the stop shit. Like, he's a very big dog. He got good range. He got great, accolades, possibly from being a guy that can never be, outstrength. He's just a very strong dude. But again, a lot of this is very one-note things. He's not in the same sense of feel. He's not pulling no Craven the Hunter level accolades. He doesn't have the feats to really supply. He don't got the speed to really recognize, you know what I'm saying? And he personifies just a guy that's, I feel like, a big, strong fish in a little pond who can pull all the different cases of nonstop, Escobar of flatlining tank but he doesn't do anything of that much weird dominating work. This man's a linebacker with 2 mini machine guns of Rolling Stone Fury, but don't really got enough, of that credit of like craze, shooter to really stand higher ground. And I don't know. I don't really think he really stands that much out in the actual reality. But again, that's just me. Again, it's not anything like, really, really put him up there. But yeah, again, contingent fight with Bastion to the greater regard. Next, we have Orisa. I feel about the protector of Nubani.
Small building to building level.
So, with the fact that she was upgraded to hypothetically contingency plan fight Doomfist, she's very built different in technology and regard. She has decent matter of
like golden or whatever.
Yeah, golden turn into a whole
like stop his fist.
Yeah, and potential again. That's what taking in her accounts and description of her capabilities is, because there's a lot of things put into place. So I'm gonna try to, as always, to the best credit of understanding the full greater depth of the characters. Explain, simply put, looking at it from a gameplay perspective, when she turns into a gold statue and becomes pretty much, I feel like, reconfigurated fucking bronze, you feel me, and gets in her whole ironmonger state where Shawty's just a walking gunsmith timing, where she can unload unrelentingly. She has a javelin to deflect it from defense. She still has shields. She has her portable, basic stopper of movement that plasmas people like Doomslayer. She got her javelin. She got her fucking drum set up, you know what I'm saying? And she got a lot of crazy ways to really amp and juice her through the fight. But the problem is that she never really demonstrates this. We have no showings of Orisa actually being on these levels. She was made, aka rebuilt, right? Because she's one of the last, surviving OR-15 bots of Nubani, and she was upgraded to holy hell, right? But she never actually fought Doomfist. And before someone says the voice lines are very mixed on being canon. Doomfist talked to Hanzo. We do not know if that's canon. We do not know if some different claims and talks are actually the case. And we do not know concretely on every other regard of person being this, and what makes a voice line actually reasonable, consistent, and or canon is if it is in character with the character, it makes sense and congruent with those.
Say like a voice line between Tracer and May. Do you consider that canon?
Well, I don't know which voice line that is. What was discussed in the voice line?
Just like any voice line between Tracer and May. You find out canon. Does it make sense?
I mean, I'd have to see, because I don't know what that's about. But I mean, just to finish on the Orisa part, again, if it's congruent with the actual establishing, things that have already happened, like the account that Doomfist has grown stronger and talks. That is true. That is said, verbatim in descriptions. That is said in multiple different accounts. It's kind of showcased with his capabilities. It is said with him being a tank now that they wanted to really promote Doomfist as being stronger than ever. Doomfist talks a lot more refined as in the past. Doomfist talk like this very, to me, how I perceive him as an ex-Doomfist main, which really breaks my heart to say. But as a guy that had the claim of being this more walking down, terrifying warmonger, now he feels like a more established one, a full gruesome of one. He walks around like a champion. He knows his stand and he owns that shit. Doomfist revels in combat. No glaze. Orisa is a very great A fighter, and I'm not going to leave her here, but there is an argument that Orisa could get out-hacked by Sombra. Right? She could get full trace on her capabilities and technology and get outdone. I think that Orisa can have a very mixed fight with Reaper, but Reaper couldn't full damage her to the fullest, so we consider what she's made for. But then Junker Queen could outdo her by, the Magtism and the mixed hacks. Diva got better feats in showcasing. Symmetra, I don't even think Orisa's even going to hit her. Echo, Genji, too fast. Tracer, not even funny. So if you ask me, I'm not going to lie. I'm going to be generous, and I'll say she's right here. Because I don't believe Orisa has any true constitution for being where she is. And I don't believe that she beat Doomfist. Doomfist was not in Africa or Nubani in Pacific by the time that she came. I don't even think Doomfist ran from her because he had no account of that. Doomfist also doesn't run from fights. He had every chance to run from Overwatch when Maximilian sold him out in Storm Rising. But he knew that they were coming. He knew his accountant sold him out. And guess what Doomfist did? He's like, well, this can actually be a great time to show what I can do. He took off his suit. He pulled out the gauntlet. And he fought them right there. He didn't run away. And Doomfist wasn't a coward. Doomfist just didn't have time for them. He went to Nubani by himself. And he took the gauntlet back. And Orisa did not stop him. He took his gauntlet back. And he went back and laid down foundation as one of the council members of Talon and as the successor. Doomfist, the great A behemoth, in his own right, will walk down multiple different roads of a whole rolling new level of might to pretty much set fires aflame. Plus, again, mixed not canon, how Doomfist describes Orisa is just as a little girl trying to play tough. So, if you ask me, I don't really think Doomfist will be afraid. Also, again, Orisa in the grand scope doesn't have feats. I only say she's here because of how she's talked about with this. The fact that she is an OR-15 bot, which, if we compare to No Sector and other Omnics, were stronger versions. And we know that OR-15 can stop Reinhardt at a young age in his tracks. We know they are strong. So, if we say Orisa is stronger than all that, she should reasonably be this. I don't really think she's that much more stronger, like I said, but that's how I feel. Regardless, though, moving on, we have Ramantra. I'm going to let Val, talk about the big man himself, the big G. I'm Nick Magneto. Or you putting Ramantra?
Possibly high building level.
If you ask me, I think that he's pretty great high up. I think that he has reasonable assertion from his omnic technology, skills, accolades, and his super form to arguably be over Tracer. Is his Tracer might be too fast for him to hit, but I don't know if Tracer could actually damage Ramantra. Doomfist puts him in high, accolade, and is a very high fashion man no matter for, stance and things, and they got a very interesting, respectful brotherhood and friendship, you know what I'm saying? So I think I could put him next to Doomfist and Apex Powerhouse, and, I think if they fought or sparred, it would be a cool fight, but I think Doomfist, looking at feats, looking at statements that are more consistent.
Sure, he has more feats. But I believe Ramantra will win.
Nah, bro, I don't agree with that. Listen, I think Ramantra has a better fight.
As I have.
Meteor Strike is a balloon Wilson. Messed up, but nah. I believe that Black All Might over here would overall out crack my man Ramantra. And I just believe that even though he is high form of capability, I think it's just a more of an argument of how much you really think he stands in the grandstand and stuff. I think he has a closer fight with Doomfist of Overwatch 1, but after all this training capability, I don't know. And I would still put, the Doomfist up here. If I had to say a Doomfist that I think Ramantra beats, I think he beats young Doomfist, a.k.a. Doomfist before having a gauntlet, a.k.a. Talon Doomfist, which, you'll see on this tier list when you peak. But that's where I'll put Ramantra. Next, we have Reinhardt, old Reinhardt. Where we putting Reinhardt?
Small building level? Or building level?
From his shield, speed, tech, durability, I think from his experience, he will put down a lot of people, but I could see people outmaneuvering and putting some damage. But I think everyone in meta-human tier has a lot of stuff that would just best him, and Reinhardt doesn't have that much severe, big, different stuff. I think top of wall / street tier is pretty solid, to be honest, at least for right now. Next, we have Roadhog, Gatekeeper, over Junkrat. Enough said. I don't think I have anything else to say about that, Valid. Next, we have a big divisive one, Sigma. What you gotta say about?
The potential for Sigma is kind of crazy. As high as potential, what do you think he's at?
Highest potential, he could be a threat to the universe. I'm not gonna lie, potential. But in actual, presumably what we can do, what's shown, what's consistent, and I have to really make this clear. I've actually died on this hill that yes, him having control over some aspects of gravity to manipulate around him, others, and basically being like the Darth Vader of this game and potential is not fully shown. Sigma is not that of great esteem powerful. You see, Sigma's feat of distorting almost a black hole or gravity at one point is tied to a greater extent of power that he could not handle. When he did this, it affected his mind and body, gave him powers, but it fucked up his psyche, meaning that he's not as mentally sound as others. He also doesn't demonstrate ways to change people's way of gravity unless it's when he really bombs off into a whole different form of thing. Sigma has capability to manipulate the ground and gravity around him, make a little gravitational looking black hole that I feel like is tied to gravitational absolve and taking, not actual demonstration of that. I think Sigma's way of moving with his technology, powers, potential, and other acclaim of that is very crazy and very powerful, but nothing to really, I feel like, glaze. And then again, he doesn't pull gravitational, movement unless he really blitz off into a whole new hell or, power and really starts blazing with a whole new level of bringer of rain level Exabar of like crack fiend power. He's cracked. He can pull a lot of crazy dank moves, but I think people that have a better shine of speed and prowess and other stuff would best him. So to me, I think he beats Echo, Symmetra, everyone else from the fact that he has great defense. He has a lot of manipulation and stuff. He is decently good showcasing a smart, but he's not a fighter. He's not bloodlustful. He does not know how to use his powers to the same Z-list extent as others. He is very new to what talent's making him do. He does not know how to fight on the same level. He's not an experienced fighter. He's just a very powerful dude.
Baptiste?
Well, I would say to a mixed regard, but he's a combat medic, and that is a field of fighting. We're talking about Sigma.
Oh, my bad, sorry.
We still have Sigma still. Like Sigma has a great stand and power, and in potential he could beat, Ramatra, he could beat Doomfist. So in potential, he is the strongest character.
He's just like too mentally unstable to be at his full potential.
Yeah, but again, also he's never demonstrated enough.
You think he would do more damage?
Yeah, he could be a big pro player. He's objectively the strongest and potential talent member. And maybe if you stretch, possibly the most strong. If he can control gravity fully to his whim, move like Dr. Doom, I would say he's better. But people are faster than him perception-wise, and he cannot react. Doomfist will literally hit this man into another stratosphere, and what is he going to do? What is he going to do? And anything that he does at Doomfist, I don't even see that hurting him. What, he's going to drop him on the floor, and Doomfist is going to be like, that tickled, blam. There's nothing he can do. Genji is going to literally ride in this dude. He's going to cut him up so bad, it's not even going to be funny, and he can't hit Tracer. Like, he just can't. He can't hit her. So, no. And even if you want to say that, like, he could be more stronger, again, this is me giving this, because to be fair, he has no feats. His statements are very mixed broad and very mixed considerable. Nothing's really been confirmed about him to really have him have a strong stand as this and this and that. And this status of being able to rip open a black hole, again, has a bunch of tied context. And he tried to control it and or formulate it into basically a device at the palm of his hand. And guess what happened? He got put in a mental institute. He cannot use his powers unless he wants to send him into shock. And even if he did, I'm going to be honest, I don't really know what that would yield. But if you want to say, like, let's take this argument that Sigma is a literal walking nuke, and if he literally tried making a black hole, that he would kill himself and everyone with him, at that point, maybe he is the strongest, because then he just kills himself and everyone else. But I think it's a dumb argument. It doesn't make sense, and I don't think it's realistic. And I think what he tried to do with a black hole was more tied to his mind. And again, the technology made that. What he does, his gravity, portal is exactly that. It's tied to gravity. It has nothing to do with a black hole. It looks like it, but he absorbs it by gravity unwinding it. He can only do that when he matches speed. And when we use gameplay, he can match a lot of shit. So I don't think he's out of the speed tier. I think he's just not fast enough to really say that he can do more. But he could be more powerful. So again, I'm hoping I made my reasoning clear why I put him where he is. Next, we have Winston. Considering Primal Rage, where we put him?
Building level.
He did defeat Doomfist, and, that is a reasonable L on Doomfist, but mixed demonstration and how he kind of talks about the battle. He feels no animosity or, shame in the fight. In the words of Doomfist to Sombra, have you ever been hit by a giant genetically engineered gorilla? I could arrange it for you. But he also kind of talked about how he underestimated the monkey, and next time they fight, he will not. So I think he does beat Ramantra if we take it to, Primal Rage. There's an argument that people could knock him out and maybe kill him if he doesn't tap into it, because that is like his Hulk form, right? Because Reaper's able to pat him up, and other people have been able to really push his shit in. But when he gets into Primal Rage, he outdoes everybody and really brushes up everything and eats that shit. And in Primal Rage, even though it was when a loved one of his, Tracer, was hurt, Winston did bong a motherfucker into next week. So I think there's an argument Winston should beat Doomfist in Overwatch 2, but if you're like me that thinks Doomfist is more ready, more prepared, best believe it's going to be a legendary fight. But I do think Doomfist arguably gets the dub. I'll let Val put his 2 cents into this. Who wins, Overwatch 2 Doomfist or Winston right now?
Probably Overwatch 2 Doomfist. Because he'll be more prepared.
Yeah, more ready. And has been training in advance. Mirror's like going to be more bombastic. I just feel like he'll win. Again, they could go either way, but Doomfist did canonically knock him out. So if he runs at him again with that, I would not be surprised if Doomfist Senator Armstrongs his ass and actually puts him out of commission. I'm not going to lie.
Doomfist, son.
Doomfist can't be Senator Armstrong. Guys, stop asking me for that versus battle. I don't want to see my man get violated.
He's going to be turned to ashes.
Ash is Play-Doh. But not the side, though.
He punches Armstrong. And
breaks his hand.
Yeah.
Next, we have Hammond, a.k.a. Wrecking Ball. I would put contingent to the Junker Queen. He has good deal of tech, advanced technology, experience. He's bested a lot of mech people. He was seen as a very...
He has a Wrecking Ball.
True. And he was seen in very high respectable intellect. I think he would have very contingent fights with a lot of people to get around, but I think Hammond has a lot of counters to most that would put him of higher accolade. He could literally burn so hot. He survived actually falling from technically outer space. Now, that is a very mixed calculation. Because he survived it with his original version, so I don't know if his advanced version could take the same stuff. But he did actually survive that, right? So I don't know what that calculates as, but I'm not going to lie. If you think...
I'm pretty sure it was snug inside the ball.
Yeah, but that's proven that his outer shell is very durable, and it's very hard to pierce it. Yeah. So I don't know what that calculates as. You could stretch it to be possibly higher than most, but I think falling to Earth is like a Master Chief level feat, and most people put Master Chief in small building level, and that's as consistent as I feel like it gets. So I'm not going to lie. I think you really have to take consideration that Hammond is built different, but comparatively, I think it's like most people can't get through his hide, and his intellect, the scenario, what he can dish out, I think would best, but I could see it being very mixed because he technically only has statements. He doesn't have feats, right? But obviously, y'all know me, and I think this is very rational, but that statements do hold weight when they're put in high fashion. Most people put him in high fashion. Junker Queen did spar him. They did have a close fight, and I do think she would win if she was really trying to kill him, because she thinks of Hammond like a little friend, a little cute, little chubby friend. You know what I'm saying? He's like the Jeff the Land Shark of the game. So, most people are not taking him seriously. But I think that might be a lot of people's downfall. So yeah. Next we have Zarya, the Russian tank herself.
Street tier, I guess.
I think with her technical gravity gun and what it's used for, the fact that she can create in true a gravity black hole that we never see actually in action.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
Yeah, like it's not actually supposed to be a black hole, but it's supposed to just be a gravity like suckle thing, and she got impenetrable. She got impenetrable, hide with her gravity, manipulation of like a source pool of tech, and like in a pool of actual, Big Brock caliber contingent rocking and bocking, fighting, and the fact that Shorty is very resourceful. Shorty got multi-radar capabilities, making crowd control, getting in cover, can pull a lot of great shit, like I said. Her gravity gun got great sense of range. I think she has impregnable defense, Mike Tyson style. And I'm not going to lie, I think she would beat a lot of people. So just thinking, I think a lot of people can't hurt her. I think speed is the main problem, as Genji and Tracer would be so fast that she couldn't keep up. But the thing is, like, she's so unimaginably durable that I think she will, if she gets a good hit, actually fuck them up. But to be fair, like Sigma and other people, she don't really got feats. She don't really got statements. And she did beat Sombra, but Sombra pretty weak, unless we give her the fact of, the hacking stuff. She did fight in the Omnic Crisis. She was very, resourceful, like I said, and very undeniably a dumb truck of power. And, muscle mommy. I'm going to stop. But, like, on the road, it's like, I don't really know. It's a contingent fight. I'll just ask Val, and I'll kind of leave it there. I think she's in meta-human tier over Sigma. You know what I'm saying? Pretty close fight there, too. But, who wins? Genji or Zarya?
I'd say Genji.
All right, what about Tracer versus Zarya?
Tracer.
And I think Ramattra would just overpower her in the end. I don't think, he would have much of a difficulty.
You'd be like, let me take that black hole and then throw it back at her.
Or suffer like I have. Face up. But next we have Ana Amari. Listen, I love my Egyptian grandma. I love her so much. If you ask me, though, I'm going to be honest.
Wall?
Yeah, well, I'm not gonna lie. She might arguably be like in fodder / gatekeeper. It's just she's not a combat person. She's a combat medic sniper, and she got out sniped by Widowmaker. Now, don't get it twisted. Don't get it twisted. Let me finish before like anyone in the audience says anything. I know she was conflicted because she knows Widowmaker is a dear friend and the wife of one of her comrades. I know she was conflicted, but you can't tell me that Ana would actually best Widowmaker if they were going full head-to-head, case for case, bang for bang. She shot a Widowmaker that was a little bit of the younger side, right? Doesn't really change it, and they're both elite snipers, but going hang for hang, shot for shot, I believe Widowmaker would dominate in the end. I think she would all around quick shooter snipe her out of commission. She would get bullseye. I would like to give her the credit because Sleep and, Auntie, and she's more of a fighter, the better win, but I don't think she could actually beat Ash and Bob. I unfortunately think she has to be at the bottom of Wallside 3 tier. But don't get it twisted. If she did get one shot on somebody, like with the Sleep, she probably would kill. Unless you think people are too durable for it to work. No one here, except for Omnix, should be able to stop Sleep. But I don't know. Unless you think she bypasses fucking robotics, she could just sleep her mantra.
Do you think she has for lore purposes, a virus bug she shoots at Omnix to put them to sleep?
I wouldn't be surprised, but even then, at that point, obviously it's a gameplay thing, but I just wonder what is an Omnic dreaming about. Mantra probably thinking about fucking world peace with Omnix. Solemn things. Next we have Baptiste.
Do Omnix ever wonder what food's like?
Possibly, but there is showcases of Omnix being able to drink and eat. I just think it's different. If I had to give you an example, examples is like the teenage robot character. She eats food through a metallic metabolism, so they pretty much get the like feeling of food, but they don't eat it. They dispense it, so they eat like for their stomach or whatever their cork inserter is. So at least in the comic, when Maximilian was drinking champagne, it looked like he was literally letting that shit trickle into his system, and his eyes would glow. I don't know what the fuck the purpose of that is, but there you go.
Piss out the wine.
I don't think so. I mean, Cyborg can eat food, and he even questions where the food goes. He don't even know.
So, like, does his body just dissolve it?
Yeah, I'm taking it because, I mean, he doesn't have a stomach sometimes, and sometimes he doesn't have a fucking ass even. So, I don't know.
Maximilian dissolve it.
I'm taking it. But at that point, why would you even eat then? But I guess it's like, even though they're...
Put, like, taste buds in their bodies?
I mean...
Experience taste?
Yeah, it's supposed to be... They give the feeling of taste and, like, other shit. But at that point, again, it's like the crystal gems from Steven Universe. They don't need to eat, sleep, breathe, but they do it because it feels good. So I guess that's them. Because I do remember Bastion was drinking coffee in one, like, Christmas event.
I left the coffee, huh?
Hey, who wants coffee? Who wants coffee? Let's go.
Oh my god, you remember that video?
Yeah.
That's so funny.
And especially the fucking high-pitched one. Gets louder and louder.
Yelling it.
No.
In the middle of a gas station for no reason.
This man stole a coffee.
It's too funny. It's just that.
Too funny, bro.
Oh, brother.
I feel like somebody got to recreate that. Like, actually go and be like, "Does anyone want coffee?" So, no, I don't know. Anyway, we got Baptiste.
Coffee?
I think Baptiste is actually, because he doesn't really demonstrate too much. He just defeats fodder talent agents. I'm going to keep it a book. I don't think he has really any accolades to be above. Unlike Amari, she has hail scaling. She defeats Omnix. I think Baptiste is a little bit too unknown, because we have a two-way option: no scaling, or you gotta put it next to this man, Malga, because of the fact that in the regards for him in comparison to some like Doofus and Ramatra mixed record hold, they're reasonably in the same criteria of being the most famed, skilled people in their department and talent. Baptiste is the greatest healer of talent. Malga is the greatest tank of his operation. So, I don't know how you feel, Val, but I think he needs to be, no scaling or be presumably with Malga. So, where do you put him, Val?
Yes, who are you saying again?
I'm talking about Baptiste, so where do you put Baptiste? I already explained where I put him.
No scaling? Really?
Yeah, because he doesn't have anything. All he does is beat talent.
I feel like he'd be Wall.
Like, how much Wall? Right. Like, is he defeating anybody? Because at that point, like, I don't think that he would lose to Junkrat, Roadhog, or May. But if we want to use just scaling parameter and being consistent, what does he have that makes him actually beat them?
His healing abilities?
Yeah, but like, what does that do? That's gameplay,
And his ult too is pretty cool too.
I mean, true, but then by that metric, we have like these people actually making explosions. His, way of doing shit will realistically being just out shooting them, pulling a AJ Gale, but presumably his ult only is form of like expand of damage output, yes, in gameplay and actual result, but it doesn't actually hold the same extent of actual pull. Unlike Roadhog and this man Junkrat, they actually pulling these actual pragmatic case of shooter, explosion, destruction. May has potential with her shit. Roadhog and Junkrat had no robust capabilities on the same scale as others, but they have better record of that. All he has with his ult is just a window of damage. I mean, what does that do? We have gameplay, but what does that do?
Yeah, I guess.
So that's just where I put him. Love you, Baptiste. Love the cut. But nah. Next we got Brigitte. Wifey Ting. Where we putting her?
What was her name again?
Brigitte, daughter of...
Oh, yeah, Brigitte.
I hear you said something about where you want to put her. Again, daughter of... What were you on? Goddaughter of Reinhardt.
Wall level, I guess?
Yeah, I would like to say she's potentially greater than her dad in the grand scope, and she has a very durable shield that scales actually to Reinhardt, and they took a very hefty blast, even though they were going to get incinerated in the end. That was a pretty good durability feat. I'm not going to lie. And her and Reinhardt's shield are made out of the same material, by the way. So... she got decent skill. She was putting the beats on some crooks in that one comic. She was trained by Reinhardt and others, and they were doing some crazy shit. I think this is a good thing, because everyone else either got better skill capabilities, reasonable better showcasings, and Malga and Bastion just too strong. Yeah, I think that's a good point. I think she can now best her dad by the perspective that she's been better trained, she's more durable, and she knows everything that Torbjorn does. But Torbjorn never seen Brigitte fight, so I think she would just catch up to her dad, probably spank him, and, just beat him. Yeah. Next we have Iyari. I don't think I need to explain this. This woman literally has the sun in the palm of her hand. Like, no. No. One shot, everybody.
Possibly.
What do you mean possibly? Elaborate.
Did they ever clarify it's not as strong as it seems?
Well,
they just say, yeah, she has a power of the sun.
Yeah, I mean, that's blatant the case. She says that. Her people say that. Literally, they got their power from the sun. She uses it, and it's called solar energy. So she's shooting solar, blatant blares. She's shooting light at you. I mean, no one in Overwatch, except for her, is actually fast in light. They're only at the percentage of the speed of light if you try to be decent mix of, strong, tight, consistent. Because, like, for instance, Tracer is reasonably sub-relativistic. And other people that scale to that same parameter to a mixed regard, even if it's a lower sense, scale to that. And only mix half place of pressing on a greater nick of training and craft of, really flourishing in combat, would I say someone like Doomfist and others should outscale. But even someone like Ramatra, who I don't really think is pushing the speed of light like others, he's just way more strong. And I don't know if you think his ultimate is like light-based. I don't think it has anything to do with light. I mean, how I perceive it, the technology is a technological aura farm. Like, he's basically hitting you with mental gas, basically. He's out here out-maneuvering, motherfuckers with having so much better colossal wrecking ham, strength. He's basically like the juggernaut. And that aura effect is so crazy, glorified, expand of the insane damage that it exalts, all these people, exalts some of their stuff, and it exhausts all these people's greater capabilities rather than there. But Iyari should reasonably be there. I mean, I don't see any argument why not. She easily, with the power of the sun, and what she's demonstrated at full power, she was able to actually deliver a town-level amount of destruction at bare minimum. She killed everybody in her civilization, aka home, on accident. She blowed them to bits. Literally left niggas with ash.
Oh my god.
She killed all of them on accident.
City level?
I mean, we could stretch there, but again, it's not consistent. She took everybody in her town away with that big burst of energy. Now, there's more for people that have left from it, but she literally have brought her people arguably to an extinct because of her being the last wielder of her technology and the fact that she dispersed all of them. So, hypothetically, at low M, the yield and the amount of, disperse effect, aka clearance of, gauge and power, I feel like reasonably should be a city block to town level feat. But if we stretch, like with Doomfist or other people, she could be that. Because even though it's not a direct statement, it is a advertisement statement like that Godfrey, being able to defeat the Tarnish statement from IGN, where Doomfist was said in advertisement that Doomfist alone could wipe out the city of New Bonnie. I don't think that's very consistent. I don't think he's city level. I think, that's just a random pity wank to get him like the scale to Senator Armstrong, which please stop, but it doesn't matter. Like, yeah, like she should be there. Even if she's not a planetary threat as I'm putting her, no one should be able to beat her. She's too fast. She's too powerful. But with her, power...
Oh, it's really just said, I'm going to make a planetary level character.
I mean, that's surprising, bro. I mean, people think that Sigma is what? Solar system level? If you can actually use a black hole, they think he's solar system level. Crazy, right? Like, it don't make sense. Yeah. And maybe I might be stretching that because I'm just randomly throwing that out because I don't know actually what a black hole...
Scaling's kind of goofy.
True. But again, within the regards for this, that's just what you could be consistently. And we really consider using the concentrated power of the sun. Remember my Metro Man scaling. Shudder could be multi-continental.
Jesus.
Like, it's not even funny. But yeah, I mean, she should just be up there. Next, we have Kiriko. I'm say, because of the goons you defeated, her magic, I'm say...
I don't know.
That she can be, like, contingent with Brigitte. I think Kiriko and Brigitte will have a cool fight. Both dime tings. You know what I'm saying? But I think Malga would just be a little bit too much. And I don't know if her magic, a.k.a., different spectral martial arts could really help her. I also think Kiriko, because she did get damaged by some goons. She did get hurt by them. She don't really have feats. And I know that Genji and Hanzo put her in decent regard, but she is family. Their age and all that, it's very inconsistent. Didn't really consider that. I feel like you're natural, making the math of these characters and then correspond with the fact that she was seen as the lesser skilled person. Kiriko did not take training as seriously as Genji or Hanzo. So she's not objectively that skilled. So, yeah, I think I'm going to just put her above Brigitte for now. But even then, for the record, the reason why I put her higher is because what she can do with her stuff. She's not as skilled, but she has way more versatility. I do think, again, the Hanzo argument. The dragons is insane. But, again, I think there's people that could take him out before he does that. There's also, like, you can dodge. Unless the dragons, just track you because they're using gameplay logic. But I don't know. But I think that it's a very debatable tier. As always, it's a very debatable tier. Life Weaver. I don't know nothing about this dude, to be honest. He has nothing really there. Either he's a no scaling, or because he has the same technology as Symmetra, he should just scale to her. So what we feeling, Val? No scaling, or what?
I think he could scale to Symmetra.
Yeah, like, he has the same technology. He doesn't use it in the same way, and he doesn't seem like a real fighter type. This guy's more of a support and lover dude, and I respect that or whatever, but I don't know. I'm kind of mixed if I really want to do that, to be honest, because Life Weaver being Diva? Nah.
I don't know.
Nah, he don't deserve scaling, bro. I don't like that. I don't think he deserves scaling, to be honest. Like, don't get it twisted. He could be very powerful, but he has no feats. Yeah, he literally has no scaling. Lucio. I'm going to keep it a buck, gang. He's defeated only low-tier goons. And I don't want to do this, but he could be in fodder/gatekeeper, but I think just put him in no scaling.
Damn.
Like, he beat no sector bots, and he did fight with Overwatch, so I don't know, but it's like...
All level?
Probably. And he did beat some Ishkar, soldiers, and I know his sound is actual, like, shockwaves and shit, and, like... Damn, man, I don't know. Because he could actually be pretty powerful, as he don't do that much. I think I'll put him at maybe, like, he's either got to be, like, fodder or he gotta be like, I don't know, a greater form height. I think for now, Lucio, you just not doing too much, my man. Mercy, no scaling. She don't do nothing. She literally is not a fighter. Moria,
Wait, who are
kid,
you talking about?
I said Mercy, she don't do nothing, so I think she just be no
Oh,
scaling.
I guess.
Then next we have Moria, who I think can have reasonable scale, but she doesn't really have
But
scaling herself.
hold on.
What?
She has fought against Talon. We know that.
Well, I do know that, but
she
again,
was with the help of Tracer, Winston, and
well, no, you
Genji.
mean Blackwatch? Because that's not the right mission.
I'm talking about Mercy
Well,
from Rising Event.
well, yeah, but like that's low fodder people, and even then, do you know she's actually fighting people? She can blind people, but what is that gonna do?
Yeah, I guess. I just wanted to advocate for Mercy a little bit.
I mean, the only thing I can really say besides that is like,
Okay, but she does have a pistol. That's about it. So I mean,
but again, what is that really going to do to people? Especially when we want to talk about like the power
yeah,
scanner
she's more
system.
of just like a buff to her teammates than really anything herself.
She also herself is not really a fighter person. She actually got to advocates against violence. So I don't know. Moria though is kind of mixed. She either doesn't really have much scaling, or if you think with the headcanon mixed credit, kind of mixed similarly like applied to a half core like of her being a different baseline of full proactive control. Moria know how to use her darkness. Reyes, aka Reaper, he do not. So we move with the headcanon, but arguably kind of supplied that she is a better version of Reaper. I do think Moria is arguably better than Reaper. But I don't know about you, Val. I'm going to put her in no scaling for now.
Really?
I mean, like, do you have any other points or arguments for why she should be somewhere you think she should
I'm
scale
just
over
going on a
Reaper?
hunch. But she feel like she'd be like low building level. I don't know why.
Okay. Well, even then, I feel like that only, like, really supplies her, like, to
If you want to put her
Reaper.
no scaling, that's fine with me.
Yeah, I feel like she didn't really have scaling to suggest. Zenyatta, same thing. No scaling. Young Reinhardt has decent scaling. Now, we're going to say this is post his, hubris. And I would like to say they reasonably should stand to agree. I kind of forgot about some of the mixed characters now. Maybe told some, like, Lindholm, his mentor, like stuff. If he would be somewhere, I think he would be about what Reinhardt is. Now, Reinhardt's suit, because of the younger model and credit effective, him being faster and better, I think would just scale to his older self. But his older self, because of his experience, tech, and all that, would just be better. But yeah, like probably scale about the same. Then we have Kiriko's mother, who technically doesn't have scaling, but we have statements. I'll go over the statements. She taught Kiriko, Hanzo, and Genji a great deal of what they know. She is the greatest swordswoman and man on the planet. Doomfist speaks of her in a disdain extent. The headcanon is that she gave him his thick-ass scar on his left nipple. And she does have a statement by Genji and Hanzo's father. It might be biased because, they did mingle together if they are supposed to be a couple or, family of some type, right? Of being a very fearful and terrifying woman. But we do not know if she is as good as she says she is. I don't really know where you could put her because there's so many varieties. But I think no scaling is perfectly fine for Kiriko's mom.
Wait, we're putting Kiriko's mom in here?
Yeah, because again, the statements that just went over.
Wait, but isn't this only playable characters?
Well, it's not all playable because not every person I put here is technically playable. Like, I'm going to put some other people in here. It's like the entire world. Not like the whole world, but obviously like relevant people. You'll see. I mean, the next person I have / it is the Kinshin Omnix, who at their full potential, even by the regular social, power scaling, right? Sorry for the arm. I feel like the so really still puts them in a higher state of the crop of, pretty much wrecker hand power, like Voltron level extent of pool of power, where they could full pile drive anybody reasonably. So yeah, Valerie, you trying to say something? I don't know if you're trying to say something, but there's a reason I feel like you should put them in the city destroyers. They have a threat of being able to destroy all of Busan, be a threat to Diva and the rest of them. It took Diva and her entire squad so much time not to defeat them. No. Because let me make this clear. It's only when the Kenshin Omnics sent smaller versions that Diva took with a injured leg, a kind of still broken and beat up Diva suit to beat them, but they never actually beat the Kenshin. They always pushed them back. Basically,
Kenshin as like a sect of Null? Are they their own thing?
I think they're like a sect, but they originate only from around the South Korea area.
So if they were to be invited by Ramatra, would they join?
Possibly, but I think it would take a lot of traveling to do that, because I don't think Ramatra knows every Omnic person. He's revolting for like them to rise. I'll be trying to Malcolm X them, trying to put them together, but I think his push only extends so far. But that's another reason why he works with Doomfist, but that's besides the point. But like, yeah, so basically the Kenshin Omnic is always demonstrably better, and I just think Diva by herself and or her other team members, no one besides like arguably, if you stretch Ramatra, if you think Ramatra can actually basically just Ultron technology, which I do not agree with, right? Even if it's Omnic or not, can actually like communicate and or best this person. Slash case of, you know, being that's behind the case of the Kenshin Omnic being the sentinel prolific force. And the fact that again, the Kenshin Omnic, if it wasn't for a bunch of context and a bunch of behind the scenes stuff, could level cities. Kenshin is a threat to destroying all of Busan. We don't know how long, and Busan is a big city, because Busan is a real place. I don't know if y'all know this. Busan is a real place. So if this creature could actually destroy all of Busan, it would be like a multi-city level thing. Busan is a big-ass place, bro. Like, it's a big-ass city. But I think, I don't really see anyone being able to defeat this thing. It's too big. It got too much shit. And even if they're faster, right, because Diva struggles with it, it's just too strong, to be honest. But I could see an argument that, like, okay, maybe it's not as that strong, but I don't really see a way how, like, Winston or Doomfist can really best it, or Ramatra. So I'm putting it in City Destroyers for right now. Then going forward, we have...
Where you put Ramatra?
I put Ramatra and Omega Threat. And I put Kenshin and City Destroyers.
Okay.
Alright, next we have No Sector as a whole. This is considering the statement that...
Stronger than the Kenshin?
No, this is like No Sector and the greater deal of the Omnics. So I do think that they're stronger than the Kenshin, right? But this is because Ramatra did state in a voice line that is consistent with the narrative implications that No Sectors as a whole could level cities, wipe out civilizations, and that they are the strongest they ever been. Wait, what? Say that for again.
Did you have like literal warships?
Yeah, that is true. They are a whole rolling pack of devastation. And so, taking in their height, if any military or any form of force on the planet, again, possibly if you want to restate for the audience again, valid, would get bodied. So, it's reasonable to say that, you know...
I'm still wondering where they house those ships.
See, I mean, the Kenshin Omnics live on water in different parts. Even though, wait, hold up. Did Diva and the group fight the Kenshin Omnic on land? It seemed like it was standing, or was that cold water?
I think it was an aerial fight.
Yeah, but it seemed like the Kenshin Omnic was like a big leg being. I mean, I don't know. It was kind of a little bit vague, but regardless, I was going to say that possibly porting them in the case of the sea is a reasonable thing. But yeah, there's other pool, you know, possible capabilities for, with this being said, being the highest escapade, you know, of powerhouse thing, that they would be able to pull so many radically dominating, militia-driven, devastating, out-of-pocket things. And I don't know if it might sound weird to some people, but again, the escapades and Escobar, you know, for where these motherfuckers stand in greater height and longitude of drilling, the factors of destructive capacity, gargantuan numbers, and hard A field, and the fact that Ramatra is a very, very most crucial, reliable source, I think would reasonably put them in a whole different plague of domination and extinction to humanity. I mean, Ramatra says that, you know, even if he would fall, that no sector will reign supreme, and that he really means it when he says that it will be the omnics that live and humanity that falls. He really believes in that shit. And, you know, even though Overwatch lore is slow, it is narratively said, even in, you know, Brazil, right, with Lucio, that the entire No Sector Foundation was so powerful that if they didn't do a bunch of prep time, No Sector was going to destroy whatever city that they were in with Lucio. That was going to happen. So, again, they have a lot of capabilities to best others, and they're narratively set to be crazy. So, yeah, I mean, even with their numbers, Yari, and even with the Kishinami, they should, like, best because, you know, fast, speed, and the fact that hypothetical full concentrated laser should evaporate these niggas, to be honest. But still, didn't change anything too much. Next, we have Gabriel Reyes, a.k.a. Reaper, before he turns into Reaper. So, we have mixed proclaims here. So, like, Reaper, possibly for Blackwatch, didn't have his meta-human capabilities. He was not a Wraith. He was a normal dude. If you perceive it like that, then he goes lower. If he did have it, but not to the same level as Reaper, where he full embodies it, and obviously scaling to Jack Morrison, I think regardless how you see him, he should reasonably, especially fighting an Omnic Crisis, he should scale about Bash Comics. Yeah, I think he could all around beat Bastion, but the durability is kind of mixed. I'll put him here. Yeah, about there. I don't know if you have something you want to say about that. Next, we got Young Soldier 76, who survived a fight with him. Again, the context is kind of mixed, but I think he's just a better version of his older self. And Reaper did, you know, press him, but I think he's just a better version of his older self. I'll just put him right there. Then we have Young Doomfist, a.k.a. we got the case of Doomfist before he had the Gauntlet, who has reasonable accolades and scale. He beat the Scourge Nubani, who has a statement of being a low-level skyscraper because that was his Gauntlet, and Doomfist has a superior Gauntlet. So, I think using a large building scale, that he should be I think he'd be Hammond, but Junker Queen is where it's going to be a little more of a harder fight. But I think he reasonably should beat all these people. Yeah, I mean, I think if, like, we take in his greater skill foundation, he should beat. But this is the version where Sigma should beat him, or Mamrach should beat him. I think it's like his skill, the way he fights, his tactician thing. And again, he beat the Scourge Nubani. He beat him. He did beat him. He killed him. I think he would do this. So, yeah. But speaking of Scourge Nubani, we have the Scourge Nubani himself. Again, he has the leveling a skyscraper, left-handed. He's about the same. We have the first Doomfist, who has no scaling. He has a prototype fist, which was like an Omnic Crisis thing. But still, we got Maximilian, no scaling. Sage, he has similar equipment to, you know, Symmetra and Life Weaver, but doesn't have any scaling. Goes right there. Next, we have the Mutant Freak himself, the purple back hero of Overwatch. Now, I've not really seen him be on any real greater scale, but I've heard that he is a very ridiculously boss level acclaimed tank. Like, I've heard that with his spikes and his mutation and looking at gameplay and this very crazy rack of all trades, robust, you know, healing factor or other aspects of, you know, being this very psychotically brutacious, reveling, you know, all aspects of like a demonstrably bigger than life chloroform, besting odds person, you know what I'm saying? Where pretty much to simply, concretely say, my guy has so many ways to out versatile people. He's very strong, very crazy, got very great, hail of this stuff, but his feats and statements are kind of all over the place. And even with his greater height of really proving the bruise and proficient procking, with all this and shit, he can't really be so much more higher to me that he really deems anything. So I'm not going to lie. I really think that he should just be a no scaling. Next, we have Freya, who actually I think has reasonable scale of being seen as the greatest hunter in the world. Greatest tracker, bounty hunter, Craven the Hunter. Her frost capabilities, her marksmanship, and other stuff, I think reasonably gets her to at least be contingent with Kiriko and Brigitte, but I think she would be over. I think Malga and everyone else either got way more greater versatility, range, sense of experience, and their ability to count her out. But I think Freya is pretty decently tiered, right? Next we have, I forgot his name, fucking person that she was tracking. Whoever this brother is, his Turkish brother here, I forgot his name. Then we have Doomfist of Overwatch 1.
Hear me? Hello?
Yeah, I can hear you. What's good?
Where'd you put Freya?
I put Freya below Mala, but over Kiriko. Contingent, though. Very debatable.
She's a bounty hunter?
Bounty hunter, said to be the greatest hunter of the world. Was respected and acclaimed by multiple different Overwatch agents. Anna Ziegler, Anna, Reinhardt, all these people put her in high fashion. She got, great praise and admiration by Soldier, and she was a part of Overwatch. Like, she was there, all that. So, yeah, pretty good scaling. And she did fight in the Omnic Crisis. So, yeah. Next, again, we got Doomfist from Overwatch 1, who I could put over Ramattra, who I do think, could have a contingent fight. And, like, if we equal the stats with these characters and we took them out of, the actual consistency, I think it would be better. I think, simply put, this version of Doomfist would mollywop this man, Ramattra, in the grand scope. But, don't get it twisted, I think there's a big argument on the pure fact that at the end of the day, when it comes down to the stand of where they are and how they are, reasonably, Ramattra could have a cool fight. It's just Doomfist is too fast. He has better skill and he has better feats. And I just feel like Doomfist is going to do more. I only think that, the big disparity and mixed stage of, capability is that you could argue that Ramattra is older than Doomfist and knows a little bit more, so he could win. And also Doomfist can't underestimate him. So if we be in character with this version, maybe he might get bested. But I think just to really salute my point, right, possibly would be in the strongest areas from a general combatant sense, I'll put Doomfist here, put Winston here, and Omega threat is Doomfist and Ramattra. Again, you could argue if we equal the stats with at least these versions, I think that could be a very close fight. I know Val probably thinks that Ramattra beats Overwatch 1 Doomfist. I personally think he would win. No glaze, no bias. But, yeah, I think that's a reasonable tier. Final person to be put. Don't worry about the other random Doomfist. I don't like that look of him. Right? I think that Diva's team members should just scale below her. She's the strongest one. And should just scale over the others. So that is my entire Overwatch universe ranked from weakest to strongest. To start from the top, Planetary, Iyari, City Destroyers, No Sector, and Kishinonymous. Strongest there is Doomfist, Apex Powerhouse, Winston, Omega Threat, Doomfist, Ramattra, Metahuman, Tracer, Genji, Zarya, Sigma, Echo, Symmetra, Young Doomfist, Adeyemi, Diva, we have Junker Queen, Mecha Force, Hammond, Orisa, Reaper, Sombra, Wallside Street Tier, Reinhardt older, Reinhardt younger, Liverpool would be here over Reinhardt. You have Sojourn, you got Soldier 76 when younger, Soldier 76 when older, Pharah, Gabriel, Bastion, Malga, Freya, Kariko, Brigida, Torbjorn, Widowmaker, Hanzo, McCree, Ash, Anna, and then in Farther slash Gatekeeper, you have May, Roadhog, Junkrat, and No Scaling. You got all these people, right? Hope you guys have enjoyed. If you disagree with anything that me or Valid said, or have opinions on, you can debate me. I don't think Valid's gonna debate you guys because Valid, touch grass. But joke aside though, I hope you guys will enjoy, more of the Buster stuff to come. Enjoy, my future kids tier list, especially with my, protagonist slash MC tier list that I've been hyping up. I got a Ghost of Tsushima tier list waiting on the building for y'all. You know what I'm saying? I love y'all. I'm gonna see you guys in the next one. Appreciate y'all for watching. Let me know if y'all would like me to do more tier lists like this, where I do it in actual time and I don't preset do it. Let me know how y'all feel. I'm going to see you guys in the next one. Peace out, Marami. Love y'all.